of how did we come to the issue of the bipartisan talks. The bipartisan talks were called by the president. And in all fairness to Raila Odinga, he responded positively by giving it a nod and accepting that yes, we can be able to have these bipartisan talks. But then I think it started moving towards a wrong direction once now it moved from the top leadership to now the middle level, the politicians and that. Because there has been a very intentional approach from the Kenya Kwanza side to take very hardline positions. We have seen them talk about, trash the talks, talk about who should be there and who should not be there. They have done this across the weekend, across Easter. That is what they were talking about. So you can be able to feel like Azimio is right to feel like there is no goodwill for these talks. And that is the reason why Azimio is heading back, is choosing to do the talks together with something else. It's essentially to mount enough sufficient pressure because they are so aware that the goodwill for these talks is not very forthcoming. Because you look at it and truthfully, the pressure and the person who has actually raised the tensions more in regard to the talks has been the Kenya Kwanza side more than the Azimio side. We've seen the majority leader speak very vehemently about this, trashing the talk, saying what we will not discuss and what we will discuss, saying this will be the issue and this other one will not be the issue. But the question is, the person with the issue is Azimio. The person who is complaining about stuff is Azimio. And therefore, you cannot be able to call somebody on the table and then determine for them what issues they should be able to bring to the table, and yet that person is the one complaining. Because we cannot now be able to have Kenya Kwanza now also having issues to also discuss. The person who has been pushing and having demonstrations and maandamano has been Azimio. When the president said, okay, let us have a conversation, the administration should be able to know that we are going to have a conversation about these issues that they have been raising. But then we have been able to see the goodwill has not been very forthcoming. You can be able to see the trash talking it left, right, and center. And that is the reason why Azimio feels there will be the talks, but then there will also be consultative meetings across the country with the people, because at the end of the day, sovereignty actually lies with the people, and then there will be this. So I have no problem with the direction that Azimio has taken in terms of continuing to talk to the people and in terms of continuing what they were doing in line with this, because the goodwill has not been very, very sufficient. And that puts us at a very bad place as a country, because at the end of the day, every other crisis that has ever been there in the world, from the World War to even our post-election violence that was very bad in 2007, all these issues have been resolved through talks. And this was a very good place for us to start. When the president said it's fine, now we can talk. The president accepted that now we can have a conversation. I wish the leaders, the political leadership, the members of parliament and everybody would go with the same tone that the top two leaders had. Because the person giving this a problem is not necessarily the top leadership. It is the middle-level leadership. And you see, most of the time, Olive, we have people who benefit from a crisis. We have people who actually do not want these talks to happen, because once the talks happen, their political fodder is taken away from them. Their political capital is taken away from them. We have someone who supports President William Ruto, who makes mileage and only makes sense to his people because his work is to insult Raila Odinga. We have another person on the other side who only makes sense because when he goes to his people, you insult the president, President William Ruto, and then you get re-elected. So the moment there are talks that will be able to bring the tensions down, some people feel their political leverage is taken away from them. And that is where the problem is. I wish the two top leadership really were able to see things that way and be able to scale a formula that can be beyond that. Everyone should be able to call down their troops. If we need to have a conversation, then let us have the conversation through the talks and not in funerals. The problem with us, Olive, is we put up a team to go and have talks, but then we talk more in the funerals. We talk more in places where we are not supposed to be talking. That's where we talk more.
Thanksgiving services.
And doing Thanksgiving services. 8 months down the line, Olive, you wonder what we are thanking people for. Because right now, people don't need thanks. They need the best thanks government can be giving the people right now is reduced cost of living. That is a good thank you note. The bottom-up economic model. that will be a good thank you note. Not just necessarily going to them and thank and reaffirming to them that we are happy that you voted for us and you are part of the shareholders. I think that is not where we should be as a country. And so these talks should be able to be, I wish they were fruitful, but then the way the things are going, you can be able to see there is not much goodwill, and everyone is now pushing left, right, and center. And now Azimio has been able to appoint more people onto whatever, the joint secretary,
yes,
and whatever.
What was it? Assistant counsel or something
Assistant
like that.
counsel.
Makau Mutua, and yes.
Which, in my view, it is not necessarily about how many titled people we are going to have on these talks. It is about the intention we are having on these talks. So we might go around and have cosmetic titles here and there. We have had that before. So the intention of the talks is what is supposed to matter the most.